What up, primals?
What up, primals?
Don't you know that liver is king? We have liver, we have potatoes, we have mushrooms, we have garlic, and we have the whole beast, pistachios. Liver king out. All right, so here we have it, guys. I'm gonna make you some liver in a crock pot. It's actually gonna be nutritious and healthy. I'm not gonna eat this raw because that's retarded. And here we have turkey liver. You can use chicken liver, you can use beef liver, you can use bison liver. Liver of all kinds is highly, highly nutritious. It's one of the best superfoods. Like, you know how the magazines and all these people will be like, kale is a superfood, or quinoa is a superfood. No, BS. Liver is actually the king. And all kinds of liver, chicken, turkey, beef, whatever it is that you're planning to use, all of them are really, really good. I happen to be using turkey liver today, but you can use anything and the recipe will work out just fine. So what you need is the liver, the mushrooms, potatoes, and garlic. Not onion, I think I called this an onion before. So first step is, unless you're getting your produce from a farmer's market, you know for a fact that all your produce is covered in herbicides, pesticides, insecticides, all the sides which you don't want in your body. So everything which you eat, whether it be potatoes or mushrooms, you need to wash them not just with water, but also with baking soda and vinegar. So we have our potatoes, we have mushrooms. I'm gonna put the whole thing in. So what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, something like 15 mushrooms. And I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4 potatoes. And this is 2.2 pounds of the liver. And regarding washing vegetables, it's not as important for like potatoes, but it's very, very, very important for fruits and berries, more so than these ones. Because fruits and berries, especially berries, because they have such a high moisture content, they tend to go bad easily. And so they have to add these fungicides to protect them from fungus. And these fungicides are very, very toxic for anybody who eats them. So you add water, you mix it up, and you let it soak for a little bit. And as this soaks, we can go ahead and peel the garlic. As trust in the modern diet and modern health practices declines, there's going to be more creators like me who want to show you how to prepare healthy meals in the traditional way. But there's also going to be a lot of scammers like Liver King who take steroids and abuse their body to have a certain look and claim that that's primal, right? You have to use your own judgment, your own discernment to find out who's actually natural and who's not. Because whenever there's a movement, and I really think that the esoteric health movement is going to crash upon the mainstream in a big way in the next 5 to 10 years. A lot of people are going to be turning towards traditional health practices like eating organ meats, like getting sunlight, refusing to eat seed oils, and so on. And as this cultural shift happens, there's going to be money to be made. That's just the case, right? And people are going to be making money in all the wrong ways. Liver King is just the start. There's going to be more scammers, I guarantee. So keep your eyes out, know who's real, who's not, and make your judgment based on your instincts, make your judgment based on your knowledge, and make your judgment based on your eyes. If the guy doesn't look natural, he's probably not natural. The prevalence of performance enhancing drugs is just as prevalent in the influencer industry as it is in the sports industry. And there we have it. We have our garlic nicely peeled, and here we have a crock pot. Crock pot is the ultimate cooking tool. It makes every food so easy to cook. Just drop your garlic right into it. You don't need to slice them, you don't need to do anything. Just put them in there. And then we have to go ahead and cut the potatoes into smaller chunks. And finally, we have the liver. You don't need to cut it, you don't have to do anything. In fact, you don't even have to drain the blood. Just add the entire liver, all of them. Now, if you have something bigger, like if you have beef liver or you have bison liver or something, then you have to cut it. But turkey livers are not that big, so I can put them directly. And same for chicken livers, right? You don't have to cut them. And then once you have everything in place, now it's time to add all the seasoning and everything else that you need to actually make this taste good. First, we have olive oil, and I'm using, of course, extra virgin olive oil. I'm not measuring exactly how much, just a nice generous splash. Then we have salt. I'm using pink salt, but doesn't really matter. You can use any kind of salt. I'm doing 1 big tablespoon of salt. In fact, I'll actually go ahead and increase it to 1.5 tablespoons of salt. I could have even put 2 because salt is not the enemy. They made you think that salt is very bad for you. It's going to give you like heart attack and whatnot. That's not true. Salt is actually pretty useful, pretty good for your body. Then we have, well, more importantly, we have pepper. So you definitely need pepper in this. And this is just freshly ground pepper, and just gonna sprinkle some of that. How much is that? Probably 1 tablespoon. But again, I'm not measuring it perfectly because I don't need to. And then we have turmeric, also called haldi. This you don't need that much of, probably like half a tablespoon of haldi. And then we have red cayenne pepper. And this is just a sprinkle, not more than that, just for a little bit of spice. And then we have garlic powder. You can be more generous with the garlic powder. I like the taste. If you don't like it, then don't put it, obviously. Then we have ginger powder, also very important. Put a bunch of ginger powder in this. And finally, we have some oregano. I'm gonna sprinkle oregano on this thing. And before I forget, you're gonna use chicken broth or any kind of bone broth really, because that's going to be the base for cooking rather than water. Just makes everything taste better. It's more nutritious as well. Add a nice, this is probably 1 cup of the chicken broth, and there we have it. We have all the ingredients in this already, but we need to mix it up and then turn it on. So I'll just use my hands, mix all the ingredients, and that's it. Liver takes much less time to cook than chicken meat, like the actual muscle meat. So for chicken, you would usually put the crock pot on low for 8 hours or on high for 4 hours. For the liver, we're gonna cut that time in half. So I'm gonna turn it on high and remove it from the heat in about 2 hours. All right, so it's been 2 hours, 2.5 hours actually, since when I got this started. I'm gonna open it up and see if the potatoes are done. Why? Because if the potatoes are done, then everything else is done. That's the way this works. So if you look at that, the potatoes are nice and fluffy. They're coming apart, which means they're good. Of course, I can taste some. It's gonna be super hot right now, so I'll just take a little bit. And yeah, tastes fine. Tastes like it's done, which means everything else is done. So this is, okay, so look at that. The liver is kind of coming apart. I don't want to break the livers. I think I prefer eating them without breaking them. So if you have like chicken breast or any kind of muscle meat, it'll get shredded and that's fine. But for the livers, I like to keep them intact. Of course, get the mushrooms, get the potatoes, get some of this extremely nutritious like broth going on, like a stew broth. That has a whole bunch of nutrients your body will thank you for. Look at that. See, liver doesn't have to taste nasty, you know? And you don't have to eat the liver raw, despite what freaking Liver King says. This is well cooked, beautiful tasting liver. And get some of this garlic as well. You see that garlic clove right there? So just look at it. Just look at it in the light. That's a really nice and tasty meal. The kind of the blandness of the potato contrasts nicely with the rich flavor of the liver. And we have an excellent, easy to cook meal. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this thing off and then we'll test this. So the question is, how does it taste? So I have the liver, and first I'm gonna try the garlic. Really good. The garlic's gonna absorb the flavor of the meat. The potatoes, not so much. The potatoes are still a little bit bland, which is fine because it contrasts nicely. And the mushrooms, because yeah, the mushrooms are also a very meaty kind of flavor. So it adds to the meat and kind of wholesome and fulfilling nature of this dish. The mushrooms are actually really excellent. The mushrooms might be the highlight of this dish, to be honest. Mushrooms are high in a lot of micronutrients your body needs for your testosterone production. And if you're a woman, obviously it's for your hormonal health as well. And then the liver itself, the king. Liver is in fact king. Let's taste it. Perfect, perfect, perfect. You know liver is done correctly when it's not too tough. When you cook liver for too long, what happens? It becomes tough and kind of gross tasting. It kind of becomes almost like a sandpaper, like dry texture if you cook it for too long. This is perfectly done. So it actually tastes a little bit moist. It tastes really good, has flavor to it. It's very different from muscle meat, that's for sure. But it doesn't taste bad. A lot of people think liver tastes gross. That's not the case. You make it right and it'll taste right. All right, I gotta go and enjoy my meal. See you again.